Mr. Mulvihill coming at you from our live online math classroom. This is day one. This is day one of something new. There's going to be a lot of challenges along the way, some bumps, some hiccups. We're going to try to go with the flow, go as a team, and just do the best job that we can of learning this new math and making this like a virtual classroom. So here's our algebra page. I wrote this letter here that I need you guys to read and have your parents email me saying that you guys read the letter and acknowledged. That's step one. I'd like that by Wednesday night, and that's kind of like your first assignment. So as I outlined in the letter, you're gonna need two things. You're gonna need a journal to keep track of the notes, which is what we're going to do right now. These are our notes. And you're also going to need some loose leaf paper or a journal, or print out the assignment that will be due each day. So every day that there's a note video, there will be an assignment that goes with it. And it's my way of making sure that you guys are understanding the material and staying up to date on math, because we are in a classroom even though it's an online version. Again, there will also be quizzes at the end of each week to help me see if you guys are understanding what's happening. So without further ado, here are the notes for today. You can see it's a bell ringer, and if you notice some things are in red, that's going to be what I need you guys to write down in your notes. I'm not going to make you write down all sorts of questions. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. But stuff in red is things that you need to have on your paper. So I want you guys to pause the video here, and then we will go over the bell ringer. We're starting a new unit today, functions. Okay, so on this first day of functions, we are talking about how much Subway charges for toppings. We've done this before. And real quick, I know we were doing conversions on Friday. Hold on to that. We're going to get back to that a little bit later, but we're going to start a new unit today. So in this first question here, find the cost of a sub with 3 extra toppings. Well, toppings is x. So you can plug in 3 for x right there, and you should get 10 bucks. For this next question, if you plug in 5, you should get $14. For this next question, if you plug in 1 for x, you should get 6 bucks. Explain how you found your answer to 1, 2, and 3. Answers will vary, but you should have something like plugged in numbers for x. Something like that. You were plugging it in, and what you got out were your dollar amounts. Alright, number 5, fill in the table below to represent the different costs of subs at Subway. There's nothing in the table. That's fine. You're going to put information in. You're going to represent the information you just found. So if you have 3 toppings, we know that costs 10 bucks from question 1. From question 2, we know that 5 toppings will cost $14, and a 1 topping sub will cost 6 bucks. Plain old turkey. Have fun. Alright, so there's our table. We represented the information we found with a table. We're also going to represent our information now with a graph. And now there's no graph here, obviously, but we're just going to make a sketch of a graph. A sketch of a graph. So here is a graph. So let's try to be neat about this, but there's no graph, so we're just going to do a little XY, first quadrant only. And we're going to put the information from our table onto our graph. So the x-axis will be toppings. At any point, pause the video to either see what I just said or wrote, or to catch up with what is being written. So you guys are copying this in your notes. Toppings and price. So if we look at our table here, our toppings, we have 1, 3, and 5. So we could probably just go up by by ones to keep track of this. This is only a sketch. And for our price, we have 6, 10, and 14. We could probably go up by 2s. Those are all even numbers, and 14 isn't that high of a number. Alright, so now we can put our information on the graph. So we have 3 and 10, so there's, you go to 3, you go to 10, so there's a point right there. We have 5, 14, which is about right there, and then we have 1, 6, which is about right there. And as you can see, it forms a line. So we can represent this information with a table and a graph, and in math, the more ways you can represent something, the more ways you're going to be able to find out information, whether you're a biologist reading acid levels in a lake, construction worker, finding the cost for the 2x4s that you get, whatever it may be. We got tables, graphs. You need to be able to interpret that. And this is kind of a review, so I hope you guys did well with that. So, new unit today, right? It's functions. Functions are Functions are huge. They are huge. I'll say it again. They're huge. It is probably the biggest idea that you will tackle for the rest of your math career. Biggest one. I don't know how else to say it. It's the biggest one. So you got this definition down, you're going to be good. Now this is informally. So what this means is not like the dictionary definition. It's just how you can think of it. A function. What is a function? So a function is basically what we just did. So I'll give you a second to get that down. So right here, where you plugged in information to an equation, that's pretty much what a function is. So we can say a function is like an equation where if you plug something into it, you will get one new piece of information out. So if you plug something into it, you get something out. So here, what did we plug into our equation? Well, we plugged in a number. What did that number represent? It represented a topping. So when we plugged in toppings, we would get out cost. That's all it is. It's kind of weird, but it's basically what you're doing. If you use an equation, you're plugging something in to figure something out. That's all it is. Biggest idea in high school math, in my opinion. So a couple more definitions just before the notes continue. An input, I-N-P-U-T. It's the x values we put in, input. So the x values we put into an equation. And then an output the y values we get out of an equation. Okay, so the input in this case would be the toppings, and the output would be the cost, because we input topping numbers and out came dollar numbers. It's pretty self-explanatory, but nonetheless a key idea.